What's up, everybody? Welcome back, and it is officially the end of August. It is I don't know, it's kind of the end of the summer here, unofficially at least, because in the United States there's a holiday coming up this weekend, and most people have Monday off work, and yeah. So let's just dive in, shall we? Crazy kind of week, a little bit all over the board with everything here, but I'm not going to make you drag on through the video if you're trying to get through what the title meant. Microsoft today announced what the Redstone 5, the last Redstone build before they switch to a new naming convention, will be called. And surprise, surprise, it's Windows 10 October 2018 update. Nothing crazy there. I'm actually happy they're not going with some name like Fall Creators Update version 2. This time we're serious, or this time hopefully we don't have any bugs edition, whatever. Very simple naming convention. I actually kind of hope that they eventually just go to, like, next year they just call it the Windows 10 19H1 update for the first half of 19. But anyways, so Windows 10 October 2018 update. Fun little note, they're still saying nearly 700 million active devices. And yeah, so not crossing that threshold. I suspect they're kind of at a little bit of a hump here, and so when they do actually cross it, I don't think they're going to make a big announcement, because they've been sitting at the 700 million mark for a while. And once these more enterprises try to jump across, it will obviously get higher and higher as we approach that Windows 7. I almost said Windows XP, Windows 7 end of life, which is what, like 16 something months away. So we're getting there. Other big things happening. So Apple sent out their invites for what will be their iPhone and Apple Watch event, going to be taking September 12th. Ballparking here, I bet pre-orders go open September 14th, typically that Friday. And then it's about 2 weeks later that they will ship the first devices out to those who pre-order super early. And so that is going to be happening, and all that good stuff. Now, another little fun thing about that, or fun thing, what am I saying here? 9 to 5 Mac, known for their Apple scoops, did a pretty good job here. They found pictures of the next devices, and yeah, good job for them. The funny thing here is, so these are what is going to be called the XS, which is kind of an interesting / bad name. I'm not a big fan of it, but whatever. They make the billions, so they can name it whatever the hell they want. The iPhone XS, I like how they use this kind of background here, because it conveniently looks like it's hiding the notch, because everything right now is saying, hey, that notch is not going anywhere. And then the other thing that's going to be announced, which everybody's kind of seen that stuff, but this I think was the bigger scoop for them, and once again, hats off to them, is they found the Apple Watch Series 4, which is going to have a much larger display. You can see all the complications here. Now, in my opinion, this looks a little busy for Apple, but I think what they're trying to show here is how much you can actually cram into the screen with its larger display compared to the previous generations. And then you can also see on the crown there that the red that was on the LTE models from Series 3 is much more toned down, and I think it looks much better, because that giant red dot on the last gen it just looked like a giant record button to me. But those are the big things that are coming from Apple. Maybe some iPads, maybe some Macs, I don't know. They've got some other stuff, but that's kind of what people have been waiting for the phones and the watches. And I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to update mine. This is the original Series 0, or whatever the heck it's called. And I use it for making sure I'm taking enough steps every day. So I don't know if I'm going to update, but there's a good chance I might. There's a good chance, depending, as long as the price doesn't get jacked up. So we got that going on. But that kind of leads into the bigger picture here. This is going to be a busy fall, because we have Apple's event coming up here in 2 weeks. We've got Google is likely going to launch the Pixel 3 on October 9th. And then we know that Microsoft has an October event as well, probably in early October. And so, yeah, it's going to be the next about 5 to 6 weeks are going to be packed full of events. And Microsoft also has Ignite, which I will be at as well. And so we are coming up on a busy season here in the tech world, which is great. This is exciting because it gives us stuff to talk about. Other things announced this week: Microsoft is improving the consumer version of Office 365. Now, these aren't groundbreaking improvements here, but what they're going to allow you to do is, right now, if you have home and personal, this does not impact the business world at this time. If you have Office 365 Home, you're currently limited to 4 or 5 users, They're going to update that to 6, so you can now have 6 active users. And the bigger thing here is that it was limited to 10 devices, and personal was limited to 1 PC, Mac or PC, and 1 tablet. They're lifting that device restriction. Now you can only be logged in a certain number of times with each SKU, but just know that you now have more flexibility. The one thing though that they are not letting you do yet is buy more storage. These were quality of life updates that they introduced to make it easier to use the product without raising the price. And yet they still won't let us give them more money when it comes to OneDrive storage. So that is one thing I'm holding out on. The other things Microsoft announced this week, because IFA is going on, or IFA, is not this guy, and this is kind of a big bummer to me. So they announced a white Elite controller, codenamed Washburn, $149, coming in October, only available at select retailers, I think GameStop and the Microsoft Store. Make sure to check on that. But here's why I'm disappointed. One, it's not the new Elite controller, which basically means that it's not coming this year. We're probably going to have to wait another year, I would guess. The other big bummer too is that it's the old controller design. So this is, I took the little chat adapter off, but it's this old design. It doesn't have Bluetooth. I'm hoping that they put more glue on these pads, because you can see here very clearly that I have glued mine back on. It's still a great controller. I just was hoping that we would see the new design, because the Bluetooth addition to this setup would have been nice, but the white edition is coming for $149. If you don't have an Elite controller, I think it's still a good buy if you don't need the Bluetooth functionality. I love the Elite controller compared to the standard. Once you use Elite, you'll never go back. I promise you that. Then there's also a new Elite white Xbox One X coming as well. And so a lot of good gaming stuff if that is what you're announced. And also, if you're in the market for a new PC, while I would still recommend you wait until after early October to see what Microsoft has up their sleeve, there's a ton of new stuff. There's just a lot. This is almost like CES, but in fall. And rather than being announced and then never shipping or being shipped 7 to 8 months later, this stuff ships relatively pretty quick and should be available for the holiday shopping season. So that is happening. So if you're looking for a new PC, there's a Swift 7 that's super thin and light that kind of has my eye right now. And then Intel also joined the party, announcing new 8th gen core processors. This is more on the mobile side of life, and nothing too crazy here performance-wise or anything like that. Just keep on that. On the to-do side of life, to-do gets tagging support. They continue to push out updates at a pretty rapid pace for to-do, so I'm happy to see that. And Microsoft is also bringing to-do support, Intune support to To-Do. Kind of a mouthful there, but if that makes sense to you, if you're on the beta preview stuff, you can actually get that accessed through Intune now, which is kind of cool. And Excel and PowerPoint Mobile have each netted 500 million downloads on Android. If you had any question about how popular those apps are, question no more. 500 million downloads of anything is incredible, but these are Microsoft's Office productivity apps, which is kind of a big deal for the company as they work to keep that front and foremost in consumer and business users' mind. And speaking of Google, by the way, Google is working on a new feature. We'll see if it ever ships, but what they're trying to allow you to do is to log into Windows 10 using your G Suite authentication. So we'll see. They're using it's a credential manager that you would install in Windows 10, and then you could log in with your G Suite account. For those that are using the Google world and are deeply nested in that environment, this could be an interesting thing. I'll be curious to see if Google does this all the way, but it's definitely something they're exploring with and trying to just reduce that friction of using G Suite with Windows. But the more interesting thing here is that Google is also said to be allowing potentially that you run Windows on a Chromebook. And so I could see how those two things could tie in, where the G Suite account on a Chromebook running Windows could all kind of make the experience just a little bit better. And so I'm curious if that is where Google is headed. I don't know if it's going to be a massively popular feature, but the important thing here is Google is continuing to push out these enterprise-friendly features like this. And it's just one more way that they are, trying to grab into that Office 365 / Microsoft / market share. And so no questions this week, folks, because I'm actually recording this on Thursday. I've got a lot of stuff to do on Friday, and next couple weeks of my life are getting really busy with all these events coming up. Apple never invites me to their events. I don't know why. Apple. But yeah, and the other thing too is I'm curious if there's going to be an Amazon event. Like, are they going to have any Echo type stuff coming out this fall for the holiday season? Or are they? There's rumors that they were working on a phone again for a while. I'll be curious to see. And also, my boys over at Sonos put out a new amp. Not really my style or cup of tea, but all that good stuff. And so, guys, that about wraps it up for today. As always, a bunch of new subscribers lately. Appreciate it as always. And you can find this podcast that I do called The Sam's Report on iTunes, on Android, just about every single place a podcast is available, including SoundCloud. And have yourselves a wonderful weekend. And we'll be back here next week, where I think things might be slowing down a little bit because it's a holiday. But have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and we'll catch you right back here next time.